Did the Queen really want both of her grandsons, William and Harry, to go and fight in the war in Afghanistan? Could this story be true? Well, Duncan Larcombe is a former royal editor of The Sun and was in and around this story when it was happening those years back. What was her motivation, if it's true, for wanting both her grandsons to go?
Well, this was the thing. At the time that William and Harry went to Sandhurst to start a military career, there was all the stories of them being mollycoddled and it all being not for real, just for show. Well, of course, now we know, thanks to General Sir Mike Jackson's
This is how this story is broken.
That's absolutely right. He's actually broken royal protocol by revealing these secret conversations he had with the Queen, where she said, well, my grandsons took my shilling, and therefore, if the time comes, they should go to war and fight. So it's an astonishing insight into our Queen, really.
The concept of taking a shilling has a big historical context, doesn't it? Taking the King's shilling when you join the army and all of that. What does it say about the late Queen?
I think it shows that she, I mean, as if we didn't know this already, but she was the real deal. She wasn't about spin and putting forward one public face. She actually knew that if her sons, her grandsons, but also her sons when it came to Prince Andrew, if they joined the military and they took the vow to fight for Queen and country, then that's what it meant. And certainly in my experience when I was covering it at The Sun, William and Harry, they not only did work their behinds off to get through Sandhurst, I'd say there was more pressure on them actually to perform and to do well, and they threw their heart and soul into it. It was only a certain degree of circumstances that meant that in the end, of course, as we know, only Harry went to war.
And did two tours, didn't he?
Did 2 tours. I mean, he should have gone to Iraq. He was all set to go to Iraq back in 2007, but then word got out and the plug was pulled. But that wasn't because Harry wasn't a soldier worthy of his position. It was because of the threat to other soldiers if the insurgents suddenly went on a killing spree just because Harry was in town.
Yeah, his position was revealed and all the rest of it.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it does show you, doesn't it, that the Queen believed in duty, in service, in doing the right thing, even if it meant risk.
Absolutely.
And I guess, you know, we might look at those as being old-fashioned values, but I have to say I think they're rather honourable and decent values. I wonder, Duncan Larcombe, what she'd have thought, if she was still around, about Harry boasting about his battlefield exploits in Afghanistan.
Well, of course, that admission from Harry in his book got a lot of criticism from a lot of former soldiers, and some of whom that served with Harry. It's not the done thing as a member of the military to kind of chalk up your murders or your kills or your whatever you want to call it, depending on which side of the coin you're on. But for Harry, 25 kills in Afghanistan. Controversial that he said that, but I mean, it shows to me. I mean, I'm a big fan of Prince Harry. I really am.
Still?
Yeah, I still am. I still am.
I knew we'd find someone at some point.
No, I am, and I think I took that in the way that it was meant, and that was he was doing a real job. He wasn't in the front line in Afghanistan just for window dressing.
I buy that.
He was actually doing a real job.
I buy that. But
perhaps he went a bit too far in what he said. But
you could argue for the last 2 years of the Queen's life he went too far in making life incredibly difficult for her, the rest of her family. So, as a fan of Prince Harry, he hasn't, as we understand it, answered the invitation to come to the coronation on May the 6th.
Nope.
He should have done so by now for a variety of organisational, structural, security reasons. We don't know what backdoor negotiations are going on, whether it's about appearing on the balcony or whatever. But doesn't this just show his level of disrespect?
I think it certainly shows that there is a feeling that you get with Harry that he's just winging it all at the moment and frankly going whichever way the weather takes him. And I think if he was serious about what he said, the ball being in his father's court and wanting to have his father back in his life.
It's all a game, isn't it?
It's coming across as that, and it's very, very hard to defend Harry against any other accusation other than that because, you know, frankly, the King, it's the biggest day of the King's life, his father's life.
Absolutely.
And we still have no idea whether Harry or his family will be anywhere near.
No, I suspect that they might be in the Abbey, but they won't be allowed on the balcony. At least that's what we understand. Final thought on the King, you know, we're a few months in. There are worries that he's becoming a very woke king.
Nigel Farage worries?
Well, look, I want to try and be as publicly loyal as I can. I've disagreed with him openly in the European Parliament in times gone by.
Sure.
I think he's essentially a very good man. I have little doubt about that. But it does seem that opening up the history, opening up the records of the royal family to backtrack on slavery, you know, when the Guardian effectively have bullied them into it, when they themselves have a record. I just wonder whether he's trying to please a crowd that don't support the monarchy anyway.
I think that that's absolutely right. I think that when the Queen died, Prince Charles was buried as well, and he's now King Charles. We're talking about a very different character. And I think at the moment, these subtle signs, can you please all the people all the time? Well, of course you can't. So the question really will be, how will this King Charles actually manage to... I mean, there are some skeletons in the cupboard, if there are, over slavery in the royal family and hundreds of years of history.
Yeah.
Does he do himself any favours by opening up those doors? Time will tell.
I doubt it. I doubt it. Duncan Larcombe, great guest to have on these royal issues. Thank you.